to Universal Mastery. So what I do on my channel is I break down the occult sciences to a practical level so that you can use them in your day-to-day life and get real actual results. So what I'm going to be talking about in today's video is more of a personal video. It's going to be my personal experiences with magic. Okay, so pretty much the things that I've seen that are essentially considered to be supernatural. Okay, stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing I want to say is go and check out my Patreon. What's going to be on my Patreon is one exclusive video weekly that will not be uploaded to my YouTube channel, and the videos are definitely geared around self-development, self-improvement, and literally learning how to really use magic in your day-to-day life to your benefit. I have a ton of powerful and entertaining videos on my Patreon. It is $9.95 a month, which literally comes out to less than $1 a day. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to afford that. So definitely go and check that out. And shout out to the top tier members. Their names will be mentioned at the first link in the description below, and that is where you're going to find the link to my Patreon. Okay, so other than that, going right into this video. So where should I start? Okay, so once again, what I'm going to be sharing is my experiences with magic. Okay, and yeah, I mean, I think this will be an entertaining video. I think people will watch this. I think you guys will like it. And I'm gonna start back, and I'm gonna tell a little bit of a story here, of a true story that happened to me, that kind of like got me introduced into magic. Okay, I think this is a really important and powerful story because this was literally one of the biggest, one of the most mind-blowing moments of my entire life when it comes to magic and when it comes to understanding what spirituality really is. Okay, so I'm going to open up in this video as well. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a view into my past and into who I was as a person so that you can understand me a little bit more. So without further ado, let me go into it. So, alright, so there was one time, let me go a little bit farther back just to give a context here. So there was a point in my life, I was raised as a Christian. Okay, I was raised from a young kid as a Christian, very strictly. My dad's a very strong Christian, and to say the least, like, he is literally like, he's the kind of Christian that he gets results. You know, he really does, and I respect it. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him in a lot of the things that he believes and a lot of the principles that he abides by, but I do 100% honor and respect his discipline, and conviction, and when it comes down to it, and confidence. That's something that I have to honor and I have to respect. So I was raised as a Christian, and to the point where I was told if I didn't go to church, then I could go to hell. And I was told this at a young age, so obviously that kind of bred something in me. That kind of bred like a sense of like, okay, I need to get close to God, or else I could risk going to hell one day as a young kid. So, you know, as I got older, you know, my parents ended up splitting. Things were going south in my life. And I got to a place where I was like, you know what, most people go through a stage of being rebellious. So I went through that stage, and part of that rebellion stage was like, fuck God. I was like, fuck God. I said, screw God. I don't believe God's real. If you're real, prove it to me, because my life is going to shit right now. And if you're so good, why would my life be going to shit? So I was going through some shit during that time, a lot of crazy stuff. Like, this is around the time where I almost lost my life many times, like in a small amount of time. And it got crazy because when I said fuck God, and I literally said that out loud, crazy stuff happened. Like even my life got even worse. And I recognized that it got a little bit worse. So I kind of just I stopped saying like fuck God actively, and I just started to kind of put it in my mind that like God kind of sucks, like he's not that real. Then I want to say like 2 years passed. My life started to get a little bit better. You know, I literally had hit rock bottom to a point. I'll save that for another video, but I had hit rock bottom to a point that most people don't come back from. Straight up, most people do not hit the rock bottom that I hit and come back from. It was tough, and it was excruciating trauma. But I always was a warrior. I always knew that I need to fight through things. I need to push through things. I was raised that way. I am that way. That's just who I am. So I did. And I ended up slowly and surely coming back. And yeah, so that happened. And then, you know, I was smoking a lot of weed during this time of my life. This is probably about 6 years ago. I was smoking a lot of weed. I don't smoke anymore. As of right now, I've been clean for about like 2 months for anything. I don't do any hard drugs. Never really did, except for pills. That was back 6 years ago when I tried that. But yeah, so during this time, I had gotten off doing hard drugs like the pills. I had an issue with that back in the day. I had gotten off that stuff, and I was just smoking a lot of weed. So I would hang out with my friends, and we would smoke weed, and that was my thing. And as I would smoke a lot of weed, you know, obviously for those of you that know what it's like to be high like that, it puts you in a certain state of mind that's very open. So it's hard to be a weed smoker and not be spiritual, because you experience very spiritual things when you're high, because it alters your state of mind that much. So I would experience a lot of things when I would be high, and this was like a daily thing. And I remember, like, you know, it started building up where I would see so many spiritual experiences, and for one, I felt like I was one of the only people that was really having those profound experiences. Like, I would talk to my friends about it. I would ask my friends, like, yo, are you connecting these dots here? Like, are you seeing the spiritual vision that I'm seeing too? Are you realizing these correspondences that are happening around us? And a lot of them were ignorant to it. And that's when I started to develop a sense of, okay, maybe this is something for me. Maybe this is something that they're not really attuned to right now. Maybe this means something for myself. And sure enough, it was. You know, I was spiritually gifted. So, and I did have some friends that were on that same level, and it was pretty cool, because we would have those amazing correspondences, and we would talk about it, like seeing numbers all the time, numerology, things of that nature. But I remember one time, as that built up in me, this sense of like, okay, I obviously am spiritually gifted. I have a gift here. So then I started to kind of look a little more towards like, God is real. You know, like I used to have an issue with God, but I can sense that there is some form of a God. Like there is something out there. I can sense it. And not only can I sense it, but I feel like I have a connection to it. I feel like I'm strongly connected to it, more so than the average person. Meaning not that they don't have the ability to, but I'm just more aware of it. So I remember I had one experience where I was smoking with my friends, just like the average normal kind of day. And then they dropped me off. I went inside, and I was in my laundry room. And I remember this so vividly. I was in my laundry room, and as I'm standing in my laundry room, I was actually feeling a little bit depressed, because I was not even a little bit. I was feeling depressed because I was wondering what my purpose was. I understand I have this attunement. I understand I have this ability, but I didn't know why. I didn't know why I was here. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. So I literally was in the laundry room, and every time I would smoke, it would make me question that same thing over and over again. What is my purpose? Why am I even here? What is the point of me being alive? Not in a point where I was like, I want to kill myself, but just feeling depressed because I didn't know the answer to that question. Just like a longingness for it, like a sadness. Like, I want to know why I'm here. Like, I'm tired of feeling like I'm wasting time. And I was in the laundry room, and I asked that question in my mind vividly. And I shit you not, when I asked that question, this electricity, and I'm feeling it as I'm about to talk about it, this electricity shot through my entire body, literally on a level where it was like, it was so powerful that the chills on my skin were so thick and so bumpy in a matter of seconds, like that. It just happened so quick, and I heard an actual audible voice in my right ear that said, and it sounded like this, "Jeremiah, I love you and have big plans for you." And that was it. I'm getting chills talking about it right now, but it was the most crazy, profound experience I've ever had in my life. There's like, for the rest of my life, I will always remember this day. And a big reason of it is because this day changed my life. So when that happened, I wasn't scared. I was like, oh my, I was actually very excited. And another thing with that energetic shift that happened through my body, it really felt like something had completely possessed me in an amazing way, because that feeling of depression completely wiped out of my body, completely, and a new state of being entered me. I felt amazing. I felt like so energetic. I was talking faster. I sounded different. All these things. It was like I had gotten a system upgrade. So immediately when that happened, I literally was like, what the fuck? And I immediately contributed it to being Jesus, okay? Because I was raised as a Christian. And I think still to this day, there could be some truth to that, but I'll go into that a little bit later in this video. But so I'm thinking, I just heard Jesus literally speak to me, and he told me I'm here for a reason and I have big plans, and that's amazing to hear. So I was so ecstatic, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was the closest person to me at that time. So she was the first person that I called on the phone. I told her exactly what happened. I'm speaking like 1,000,000 miles per hour. She didn't even get a chance to get a word out because I'm so ecstatic about what just happened. And then at the end of me speaking for literally 10 minutes straight, her listening to me, at the end of all that, she responds and she goes, "Jer, are you okay? You sound crazy." And it shocked me. I was like, what? I was like, you do not believe me? And I didn't have the ability to really think that, maybe she doesn't understand. And it's a very rational idea that why someone would question, "Are you okay? Are you sure you heard that?" But for someone, it just shocked me, because I've always been an honest person in my life. I've always been an integral person. I've always stood behind what I believed and what I said. My words mean a lot to me. I look at my words as forming my reality. So when I say something, I'm not joking. I'm not playing around. I'm not stretching it. I'm telling you what exactly happened and what I felt, what my experience was. So, she questioned it, and it really kind of just made me like, whoa, okay. And me being myself, the warrior self that I am, the warrior, I said, okay, come over tomorrow, because I called her at night. This happened around nighttime. So I said, come over tomorrow first thing in the morning, and I'm gonna prove it to you. And I literally said that word for her. I said, I'm gonna prove to you what happened to me is real. And I said that straight up, confident as anything. So she ended up coming over, and I told her, and she came over. I told her once again what happened in person. She's starting to listen a little bit more. She's starting to feel it out a little bit more. And then I grabbed her hands and I said, I'm going to say a prayer right now, and I'm going to ask for something to happen so that you can see that this power is here and it's real. Okay. So she grabbed my hands. I said a prayer. I said a quick prayer. I said, and I can't tell you exactly what I said word for word, but I know what I said. And what I said was, show my girlfriend a sign that you're real. And I'm speaking to the universe at this point, thinking I'm speaking to Jesus. I said, show my girlfriend a sign that you're real, and show me a sign that I should stop taking my Adderall. Because I had Adderall, and I knew I should have stopped taking it. I should stop taking it, but I still had it, and I knew I needed to stop taking it, but I just wanted an extra sign. Okay, I had Adderall on the table. And I said, just show me that extra sign. So I'm asking for two things in this one question. or yeah, you could say that. And as soon as I'm done, as soon as I'm like, amen, as soon as I say that, my dad comes right downstairs and he goes, Jeremiah, go get your laundry. It's upstairs in your room. Just go grab it and bring it down to the laundry room. So I'm like, okay. So I run upstairs, literally within 2 minutes. It just takes me 2 minutes to go upstairs, grab my laundry, bring it down. By the time I'm back downstairs, my girlfriend is at my front door and she's freaking the fuck out. I've never seen her that scared in my for my entire time being with her. And I'd never even seen her scared, and she was terrified. And as I come down, she goes, grab my purse, it's over by your couch over there. And I'm like, okay. And it's so scared that it rubbed off on me. And I go and I grab her purse, I go to the front door, I'm like, I got your purse, what's going on? And she goes, your Adderall bottle just moved 3 times. And I was like, and it scared me a little bit. And then I open the door, we go out, and then it hit me in that moment. Something hit me, and I was like, wow. It hit me, and I was like, that is literally what I just asked for. I said, show my girlfriend a sign that you're real, and show me a sign that I should stop taking Adderall. And I'm seeing spirits manifest right now. And that was literally exactly what happened. My Adderall bottle, my girlfriend, word for word, said my Adderall bottle was on the table, and it literally moved 3 times, and then it stopped. And that was when I realized, wow, this power is so real. And you know, people are afraid of it. You know, like, even though I explained to my girlfriend, look, this is what I just asked for. Do you not see how this corresponds to what I just asked for? She was still so terrified of it and didn't want much to do with it. So then that was a huge point in my life where I realized, wow, like, this power is real. It's out there, and you can, and people are afraid of it. Okay, and people aren't open arms to it, right? And this was not at the point in my life where I was realizing that this was necessarily all of my own power and that I can use that myself. Okay, this is before then. This is me thinking that just Jesus is doing it, and I just building my relationship with Jesus. I'm going to be able to use, like, he'll just be able to do that in my life if I ask sometimes. So that was one of those spiritual experiences. And then shortly after that, this is all happening within like a 2-month time frame. You know, now I'm hanging out with my friends that I'm normally hanging out with, and I'm telling them about my experience and what the fuck is going on. I'm ecstatic about it, right? Like, this is part of what happens usually when people have crazy spiritual experiences like that. So I'm telling them, and they're listening to me, and I can tell that part of them's like, holy shit, like, they believe me because they're my friends, and they know who I am, and they know that I'm not lying when I tell them these things. But at the same time, they're also like, I could tell they're skeptical. They're like, how is that possible? Like, it was just the weirdest thing, and like, you know, it was just a weird situation, but they know that I'm being serious. And I remember a couple times, like, I was in the car and I was smoking weed with them, and I'm telling them about this, and I go to, like, I'm telling my one friend about what's going on, and I go to light. We had matches because we forgot our lighter, and I go to light the match to light the blunt that we had, and I go to spark it, and literally, like, as I spark that one match, and I'm talking to him about what's going on, what happened with my experience as I'm like sparking this match, and the whole entire pack lit up. Like, I lit the match, it was in my hand, and then the whole pack just lit up. Like, it literally just in the car. And I was like, what the fuck? I've never had that happen to me before. I've never seen it happen before. And it was just another, like, spiritual moment. I mean, obviously correlating to the elements, that's fire. And when I was talking to my friend about my experience, I'm bringing a very fiery energy to the table. I'm letting him know, yo, this is what happened to me. This is how it made me feel. You know, I'm not joking with you. You can feel it from my energy. And that's exactly what was happening. That fire just lit. So that was another crazy experience. Then one of my best friends takes me to his brother-in-law's house. And his brother-in-law was... I remember going, I've never been to his brother-in-law's house before. We go to pretty much visit his sister and his brother-in-law because they're having this little cookout and all these other things are going on. And I remember that when we get to his house, that I immediately knew that my best friend's brother-in-law, there's something to that guy, because his energy was so profound. It was very different. It was unique to the average person. It was very like straightforward, very unique, and he had some it was like humorous too at the same time. I could just sense something was different about him. But remember, I'm coming from the mind frame when this was all happening, that I'm connecting with Jesus, and Jesus is providing all these spiritual experiences for me. And back in that time, I knew nothing about the elements. I knew nothing about most of the occult. I just knew that Jesus is powerful and that he's making spiritual experiences happen in my life. That's what I believed. So all that's going on. And then, I remember like I picked up an energy from my best friend's brother-in-law, and the energy I picked up was dark. I could sense it. My clairvoyance was through the roof. My intuition was through the roof, and I could sense that this guy does witchcraft. I could sense it. I could just totally pick up on it. And not only that, he just does witchcraft, but he actually practices. Like he seems like he knows what he's talking about to a certain extent. And I just remember thinking that in my mind and knowing, and I had to like, for myself, I was like, I'm gonna be aware of that. I'm just gonna keep that in the back of my mind. And then we go to smoke with him as well, and he has this nice little like bong and this just nice piece, right? But then it's like the weirdest thing happens. It's like almost like he senses that I'm powerful spiritually too, but he knows that I'm connected with Jesus, and that's what my go-to is. And it's like at this point we're like reading each other's minds, and it's this weird dichotomy that's going on, this weird dynamic at this point. And he starts saying, so we're going to smoke his piece, and then he goes, no, let's smoke out of an apple. And it's funny that he brought that up because, as you know, the apple from Adam and Eve is what made Eve, is what damned them from the Garden of Eden. It was the apple of knowledge. So there's a lot of symbology going on here. And it's crazy that last minute, like he's got this really expensive, nice piece, and he wants to smoke out of an apple. I believe that something was working through him trying to help teach me things. But back then, I thought it was like a battle between good versus evil. So I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. And I didn't say that, but I was like, oh, yeah, we can smoke out of an apple. And we ended up smoking out of an apple, and bada boom, bada bing. Then we go outside where the grill is, and my friends are completely out of their mind. They're really high. And he starts talking to me. I didn't feel that high. I'm still like possessed by this energy of just feeling so powerful and clear-minded that nothing was really affecting me. So we're outside, standing outside, and he starts talking to me. My friend's brother-in-law starts talking to me, and he starts saying like, asking me questions that most people don't ask you, like what do you want to do in your future, like things like that, like what's your purpose, literally asking me like that question. And I started talking to him, and I started telling him that I'm a prophet. I started telling him that I'm going to be a speaker, and I'm going to transform, I'm going to like transform the world and things like that. But most of what I was saying was revolving around like what's going on in the government with all the corruptness and how I'm going to change it. And then he starts saying, like, do you really think that you can do that? Do you really think that you can change those things? Do you really think that that's going to happen? Do you even think that that stuff's actually going on? And I know a lot of the stuff that I used to believe, a lot of the stuff was a little bit based off of conspiracy theories. And I do believe that there are some things that are going on that, I believed were going on are actually happening. But a large portion of that stuff is, there's no point in wasting your energy going into that. But I also, once again, because I believe that, and I still believe this to this day, later down the road, I'm going to be in positions where I'm going to have a massive influence over society as a whole. When it comes to the government, when it comes to, essentially bringing justice to the table, making sure that things are in equilibrium, in balance. So I can see the purpose of why I was in that state of mind and why I went through that phase in the past, but I also see what he was trying to show me as well, teach me, if you will. And he was saying, you really think you can change those things, or do you really think those things are even going on? And it got to the point where it almost seemed like he was kind of like downplaying me. Like do you really think that? Do you really think that? Like, and then I told him, I said, yeah. I was like, I had this, I told him about my spiritual experience. That's what it was. I told him what happened. And he looked at me like he knew that something like that would have happened to me. Like he could sense it because of just the energy that I had. And he said, what are you? And I told him, I said, I'm a prophet. And then I said, what are you? And he said, I'm a wizard. And as soon as he said that, I could feel that chill run through my body, because I could tell from the very moment I walked in his house that I knew this guy did witchcraft. I knew he did some form of dark art, because you could just tell by his aura and the way he talked and the things you could just tell by the way he carried himself. And he said, I'm a wizard. And then he pointed to my best friend and said, and he's a wizard too. And then my best friend goes, I'm a wizard. Out of nowhere. Like, my best friend was completely like out of the conversation, high out of his mind, and then he just goes, I'm a wizard, and then puts his hands back down. And then I look at his brother-in-law, and I'm like, wow, like that's pretty crazy. Like it seemed like he had control to make him say that. And then he went and said, I'm a wizard, and then just completely went back to being normal. And then I asked him, and then he said something to me. He asked me a question. He said, what car do you drive? And I was literally about to say exactly what car I drove, and then he said it first. He literally, like, before I could even say it, he went and said, is it a Mercury 1996? And it was the craziest thing, because there's no reason why he should have known that. I didn't drive there. My car wasn't there. I've never met this guy before, and he knew what car I had. And then he did another one. He like read my mind for something else. I don't remember at the moment what it was, but the car one stood out to me a lot. And he literally read my mind. He knew what kind of car I drove exactly to the type and the year. And there's no way or reason why he should have known that, other than the fact that maybe he's been practicing his psychic abilities and tapping into the Akashic records and things of that nature. So that was another crazy, profound experience. And then I started, I connected actually pretty well with him. We had a fun time, but in the back of my mind, I was still like, I'm with Jesus. I'm not with any of that dark stuff. So I had to make sure that I kept my boundary up for sure. That's how I felt at that time. And I remember I went home later that night. The next day happened, and he messaged me. My best friend's brother-in-law got my number and messaged me. And he said, hey man, we're having another cookout tonight. Come over. And I could sense in that message that he was going to show me things about black magic if I had went and continued to hang out with him. But I said no, because once again, I was in that state of mind. So then 3 years after that, I had a bunch, crazy experiences in my life. So basically what I'm getting at is that experience, meeting him, was a doorway that was supposed to be opened. That was an initiation that I was supposed to go down. I was supposed to take, but I was too afraid because I was caught in the boundaries of religion, thinking that that's not good, that's evil, that's bad. But if I had walked down that door, that would have saved me 3 years of, you could say 3 years of my path moving forward. So what I did is another 3 years passed. I'm starting to practice Christianity. I'm getting into that religion because I had that spiritual experience. I'm attributing my spirituality to Christianity. And then, that's when Yahweh starts influencing my life a lot. That's when I start becoming that Christian. It's like, good, evil, good, evil, good, evil, good, evil. And I was a powerful Christian. Don't get me wrong. I was powerful. I would make things manifest that you couldn't imagine, like I do now. But I'm much more powerful now. But I was a powerful Christian. And you couldn't deny what I was doing was real and working, which shocks most people because, it's kind of, it's a shitty position when you're telling people good and evil, and then it's proving itself right in front of you. But in the realist reality, it's not. That's duality. Okay, that doesn't even exist. Power is power. Energy is energy. You want to be able to tap into all of it and not have to be stuck in good and evil, good versus evil, things of that nature. So later down the road, I was that Christian, and then it just broke me down. Like I could tell that something in me wasn't meant to be a Christian, and it literally broke me down. Like me trying to be a Christian the next 3 years over that broke me down to a point where I was like, I just felt like shit again. Like it felt like I was back to square one. And I was wondering, what the fuck is going on? And that's when I started studying self-help, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk. I started working on self-improvement. There's this group called Real Social Dynamics. That's a powerful pickup group that talks all about mindset. So I started really working on myself, really working on my mindset as best as I could at that time. And I did that for the next 2 to 3 years. And that's when I started to realize that, okay, I believe in spirituality. I believe that Jesus is real, but I believe that he's in me and I control my reality. So I believe that I can use that power for my own benefits, and it's coming through me because Jesus is trying to teach me that I am that power. That's what I started to integrate my spirituality into, rather than just depending on something to do things for me all the time and me being powerless, but that is my power. Now I'm starting to see that I am the powerful one, and that's because Jesus wants me to realize that I'm the powerful one. So that's when my spirituality started integrating to, and I started to get even more powerful, and my life started to move in a better direction. And then, then I ended up moving to Florida, and then I went to this personal training school, and that is where the egg cracked, where I got to a point where I was confronted. Again, I was confronted by the occult. I was confronted by demons, devils, gods, things that I was always told not to go into, things that were the unknown, the scariest things of life. I was confronted directly by that stuff. And sure enough, I remember I was in my, YouTube was always my knowledge. Like, I always got my information from YouTube, and I was on my feed, and this video of E.A. Quetting in a demonic hierarchy seminar popped up, and I've never seen him pop up on my feed before. Like, there was no reason why that video should have been on my feed, but it was. And I saw it, and I clicked it, and I knew I should have, and I felt scared to, because this is what I've been told my whole life to stay away from, but I clicked on it because I was at a point in my life where I'm ready to do what the fuck I gotta do to be the best me that I can be. So I did that, I watched it, and his video made so much sense to me. I was literally like, wow, like this makes so much sense. Why was I told all these things about this when it's really just this? Like, this makes so much sense. This is so practical, so scientific. Wow, maybe I have been lied to in religion. So, but I was still skeptical, because in the video he also mentioned, if you want the power, go to the spirit yourself. Basically what I'm sharing with you guys, like, I give you guys information, I give you guys knowledge, but I say, if you really want the experiences, if you really want the knowledge on a deeper level, you've got to practice yourself and get it from the source. So, he said that, and when he said that, I picked out a specific demon that I felt led to pick out, and I felt called to me too, by the name of Balaam, and I'll never forget this. And I had it in my mind, and I was scared. My heart was beating, because I was contemplating, how am I gonna, summon this demon? I'm gonna do it. I feel like I'm actually gonna do this. I never thought I ever would in my life, but I feel like I'm going to, but I'm still scared, so I'm gonna sit on it. I'm gonna let it rest with me a little bit. So I remember that night, I had watched that video. The next morning I woke up still thinking about it. I go to class, and the teacher who teaches my class is this guy that is totally a warrior. I mean, this guy is warrior by definition. I mean, big, bulky, looks like a warrior, is a warrior, sounds like a warrior, talks like a warrior, very powerful man. And he starts preaching to our class, like just goes off on this rant, almost like something entered his body, possessed him, and he just starts going on this rant where he's talking about how people think, he's talking about mindset, he's talking about society, why people are failures, all these things. And then he, at the very end of the rant of the entire class of 26 people, he looks right at me and goes, "Just fucking do it." And of course, what I'm thinking about is summoning Balaam, the demon, and he points at me out of every single person and says, "Just fucking do it."